What's going on? What's the word? It's about to awakening, heard all over the world. What's going on? Kimbo, Natata Nzambi, and Mama Ndombe. All honor and Kimbo belongs to them. We honor and we acknowledge the 7 archangels, the 4 creatures, the 42 judges of the kingdom of Zulu, our elevated Bakulu of the light, the healers of the light, and our warriors and mercenaries of the light. I want to say welcome to all of you on YouTube, Facebook, and to the community who is with us on Zoom. Siami Mbote to each of you. Siami family, Siami. What we are discussing on today, and I'm going to pull it up here because I want to make sure that I quote it correctly. It is somewhat of a long subject, but it's entitled The Spiritual Seduction of the Chosen Asili. The Spiritual Seduction of the Chosen Asili. Now, we were speaking about the Asili last Samba and Ma'afa. And we again credit Dr. Marimba Ani. Asili means seed. And we talked about the difference between the European seed and the African seed. So today we're coming from a spiritual aspect. And we're going to talk about the spiritual seduction of the chosen Asili. All right. So I want to share something with you real quick. I'm going to start it off this way. All right. And I'm going to blow it up a little bit. Okay. So can you all see what I have on the screen here?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you look here, we have the 42 laws of my Eey. And then we have the 10 commandments, as the church calls. Now, the 10 commandments comes from the 42 laws of my Eey. I'm going to read at the top here what it says under the 42 laws of my Eey. The following laws of my Eey are also known as the 42 precepts or declarations of innocence or negative confessions. They are taken from the Pertim Ru, known as the Book of Coming Forth by Day or the Book of the Dead. Now, a lot of us have heard of the Book of the Dead, and some of us may have went, I'm staying away from that. But this is where it says it's taken from. And it says that this is the oldest African book of sacred scriptures. With the application of these laws, our ancestors were able to govern society without policemen for thousands of years. Now, just think about that. They were able to govern society without policemen for thousands of years. Upon rising at sunrise, recite these laws saying, I will not. Okay, so this is something that we can get into our spirit to do. Upon rising at sunrise, you recite these laws saying, I will not. And after sunset, before retiring for the evening, recite these laws by saying, I have not. Now, when you look at the laws, and I'm not going to read all of them here, but when you look at it, it says, number one, I have not committed sin. So all of them starts off by saying, I have not. Okay. And at the bottom, it says, the wise is a person who acts with ma'at, which is truth, justice, order, balance, harmony, righteousness, and reciprocity, and is free of falsehood and disorder. Let that sink in. This is who we are. But now on the right, this is what the church have given us. And look at the wording. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not. And you only get 10 of them.
The thou is you. You shall not. It's not pointing to self. So you have to look at who gave to us the thous. Because it's saying you shall not, not me, you shall not. That's what thou is saying. In comparison to saying, I have not, put the focus on self.
Exactly. And yes, in the chat said that will be a powerful practice, will keep you on the righteous path. Exactly, Queen Mama, exactly. And this is something that I have said. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, Queen Mama.
Yes, I was just saying that the 10 commandments on the right is really about following orders, following the orders of somebody else. Whereas the 42 laws, in the 42 laws, you are taking responsibility for it. And it's all on you, determining that this is how you're going to live righteously.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Have power. And as we continue to recite these things, it becomes a part of our psyche, becomes a part of us. And then before you know it, we are actually living out what we are speaking, because we're speaking it into existence.
Exactly.
Remember the teaching that I did on Nomo, the power of the spoken word?
Yep. So, when you look at on the 10 commandments, number 8, and it says, thou shalt not steal. You shall not steal. Okay. But when you go to the 42 laws of my Eey and look at number 3, it says, I have not stolen. So this is where the 10 commandments come from. Remember, this is the oldest African book of sacred scriptures. Now, exactly. Now I'm getting ready to share something else with you real quick. When I was in the church and I was preaching, I said to them, I was giving a scenario. I said, the man is to go outside of the house and to work and to bring in the money, the income, and bring it. When he brings it in, he gives it to his wife to disperse throughout the house. Now, I don't want y'all to think male chauvinist, anything like that. No. Okay. But it was back in the day, and we know this, that the wife was to take care of the home. She took care of the kids. The man worked. Okay. Now, with that said, if the wife is taking care of the home and she's taking care of the children, she's also teaching the children. And she's giving them instructions. And in conversation this morning with Brenda, the 42 laws of my Eey It's the feminine spirit, the feminine energy. Okay, principle. Come on, you can say it, baby. Okay, so when you look at the 42 Ma'ats, this is our mother who's teaching her children how to carry and conduct yourselves. But what the church did was they gave you something. The church comes from the male perspective. They dismissed the woman.
The feminine.
Yes, the feminine. Thank you. So
the feminine principle.
And so they come to you with the male principle, the male energy, and tell you what you should not do.
So these laws of my aunt, you said, is the feminine principles. Like did a teaching on my aunt and told them that we have our scrolls that is being trying to be interpreted by people that don't understand us, number one, who we are as a people and our divine nature and the essence of who we are as a people and what we teach and what we believe as Africans. So how can somebody from the outside come in and try to interpret and teach the world about somebody else's principles and they don't understand them, right? So they said that my aunt was a goddess. We can get into that a little bit more, but I just want to say that remember when I did the teaching on my aunt, it indicated in the teaching, the information stated that these are principles. So as you can see, these are principles. It is the feminine energy, the feminine that guides us. And he indicated, it was something you said that made me think of this when you was talking about wisdom. And you said the wise is a person who acts with ma'at, or the principles of ma'at. Now, that female that they had on there, they were our people used that, our ancestors used that because we use symbolism. When you look at our writings and things, what they call the hieroglyph, we use symbols to speak and to help us to remind things because we're visual people. We learn differently than other people. That's why a lot of times our kids don't do it good in school in this European system, because it is not the way that our children learn. It is not the way that we learn. So the wise is a person who acts with ma'at, truth, justice, fairness, righteousness, etc. So when you come to the Bible, like when I did the teaching on ma'at, it is the same thing as what Proverbs talk about as far as wisdom. That principle is personified as the feminine energy. So if we remember, it says that he said, let us make man in our image and in our likeness. And then it says, and he created both male and female. What is talking about that there? Because you have to understand what is the true nature of really God. And it is not the concept that we have been taught from a Western perspective. That is erroneous teaching. It's just confusing and it is incorrect. So when you understand from an African mindset, and even some other indigenous people, other than the Europeans who came on the scene 6,000 years ago, how can they even? But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So the feminine principle is spoken of in Proverbs, and I'm just going to read some real quick here. Proverbs 1, wisdom, the feminine principle, which is nothing more than ma'at, because they took our scrolls and rewrote them. Proverbs 1:20 and 21, wisdom crieth without. She uttereth her voice in the streets. She crieth in the chief place of concourse, in the openings of the gates. In the city she uttereth her words. And then Proverbs 2:13 through 19, I shall read. Happy is the man that findeth ma'at, or wisdom, and the man that getteth understanding. For the merchandise of it is better than the merchandise of silver, and gain thereof than fine gold. She, ma'at, is more precious and wisdom than rubies, and all things thou canst desire are not to be compared unto her. Length of days are in her right hand, and in her left hand are riches and honor. Her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. She is a tree of life.
Oh, whoa. What?
Ma'at,
Huh?
wisdom, is a tree of life to them that lay hold upon her. Happy is everyone that keepeth or retaineth her. The Most High by wisdom has found the earth. By understanding hath established the heavens. So using the principles of Ma'at or wisdom, the earth was created. It was established, it says. And I'm going to show you here in Proverbs 4. Let me jump. Is this it? No, Proverbs 8. The Most High created me, and it's talking about Ma'at. We're going to use our terminology. It says, the Most High created me at the beginning of his work, the first of his acts of long ago. Ages ago, I was set up at the first, before the beginning of the earth, before creation ever came, as I just read to you in Proverbs 2, Proverbs 8 substantiates that and said, wisdom of my eye was there at the beginning. And so it says, now they have in the translation, the King James Bible, they have, the Lord created me. And at the beginning, we know it's the Most High of the sovereign creator, created me at the beginning of his work. Now we know that God is not male or female. It's an energy. And we're going to get into that too, probably a little bit if we have time. Not as they have taught it as being a male. And that started with Christianity, and I can show that to you. So it says it's actually translated as me as the beginning, not of his word. So his wasn't even in the original text, as you can see. So that was taken out. I mean, that was added in there, his word. So as we can see, Ma'at is in the Bible as wisdom. And Elder Jabalani he talked about Ma'at and being wisdom as well. He did a teaching on that also. And well, in a teaching he talked about Ma'at being wisdom. Okay.
All right, I'm going to stop this. Okay. So now that was powerful. That was powerful, what you shared there. So the thing is, we're talking about the spiritual seduction, okay, of the chosen Asili. So what they had to do was to get us spiritually. They had to attack us spiritually. Now, we know that Leopold's letter, in that letter, he said to the people, do not try to teach them about God, because they know who God is. And they know his name. And his name, they call him Nzambi. There are other names that other people call him, our brothers and sisters. They call him Baba Mungu. There are many names. The Bible got that correct, that God has many names.
Because essentially, those names are describing who he are, his character.
Yes, characters.
Of course, they have different meanings. When you break the word Nzambi down and Mungu, when you start breaking all these words down, it tells his essence. Well, not his, it tells the essence of the creator. That's all it is. How can you give name to a spirit? Because that's force, power. You're describing the essence and nature of it is what we're doing.
Yeah, unless that spirit says, this is my name. Okay. But we know that he encompasses everything. You know, some say he encompasses so much, but he encompasses everything. You know, when the Bible said, I am that I am, you can't pinpoint that because it encompasses everything. So they, and I'm speaking of these evil entities that have taken our ancestors into captivity, they had to take away and destroy us as a people, as a nation, as a unit, and give us what they wanted us to have. And by them beating, killing, and breaking our ancestors, we have what we have today. Confusion. We don't know who we are. If you, yes, if I said to a brother, you know you're God, he would think I was blaspheming.
But it's in the Bible.
And he would tell me, you know, there's only one God, you know, depending on his belief, and would talk and try to tell me, you know, we call upon Jesus. You know, I said to Brenda, they worship Jesus more than they worship God, whom they call God. They acknowledge him as God the Father, but every time they open their mouth, it's Jesus coming out. So they put Jesus and God on the same throne.
That was done deliberately. That was a psychological warfare technique that was used for the melanated man, because they flipped the image and gave this pale skin, blue-eyed, stringy hair as the image of God. So psychologically, since they have programmed people to think that quote unquote Jesus, that's the image of Jesus, and Jesus is God, then this white man is God. So psychological programming tells you that the white man is God, and they parade around as if they are God, go around fixing this. You can look at what they do with Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum, and all these other entities, the UN, what is that one that go around the world getting properties? And they just did it in Ohio with those mounds. And they're trying to do it in Africa, where they found those old writings in the cave. I can't think of it, but they go around supposedly saving the world. When you look at all the goals they have, the 2030 agenda that the World Economic Forum have, to do this, to do that, eradicate this, to help mankind. They're not about helping mankind. It's an illusion and it's a lie. It's all about destruction. Everything that they have done since they have been in power, from the time that they have not proven. Let me change that. They have proven who they are. I'm gonna rephrase what I was going to say. From the time that they have been given to rule, they have proven to the world who they are. Evil, thieves, killers, robbers, rapers, producers of world wars, producers of famine, on and on and on. This is the nature of who they are. And it's not being racist. The behavior, I'm looking at the behavior, and the behavior indicates a destructive nature.
Yes.
A nature that is evil, inherently evil. They had an opportunity. They could have done good. They could have brought good into the world, like our ancestors, all the things that they have done, but they did the total opposite of what our ancestors did. So they are essentially the opposite of who we are as a people. The essence of who we are, they are different. Now, I told you all that we could go in and we can look to see that Christianity, that's an evil entity. I'm just going to be honest with you and frank. That was an evil invention. When they came and took our scrolls and rewrote our scrolls to use for manipulation. When you go to the etymology of the word God, I know you all heard of goth, Germanic word for it. When you go a little further in that definition, it tells you that originally a neuter noun in Germanic, which is God, the gender shifted to masculine. This is in the etymology online dictionary.
Yeah.
Coming of Christianity. Before that, it was that word, that Germanic word for God was a neuter noun, meaning it was neutral. But when Christianity came, according to the online etymology dictionary, it changed it to the masculine. And when you go to Kemet and you see the images that they have, you see the man, the female, and the child, which is the unit, the family unit. So you have the Father, the Son, and the child, right? So in Christianity, they have the Father, the Son, and then they have the Holy Spirit or the Holy Ghost, as they say, which they remove the feminine principle. That is why they said the Holy Ghost came and was impregnated Mary. All these conjectured stories they have created. So they remove the feminine energy that was there, because it takes the masculine and feminine. The feminine was there in creation. I showed you all that. So we had the masculine energy and the feminine energy. That energy together, when they come together, it creates. That is why you have us in his image. When we come together as the male and the female, the masculine, the representation of the masculine side and the feminine side of the creator, what do we do when we come together? We do the same thing. We create. That is why they call it procreation. That is why we are gods, because we create. We don't only create those that look like us. When you look at our people, just about everything in the world, we, the melanated man, have created. There are some things that we have created that, because they didn't refer to our ancestors as people, but refer to them as animals, they took the credit for it. Those who own them, they took the credit for it. But it was our ancestors that was the creator. So we are created in his image. We are the creator. He creates, so do we. So I think that was Silverback that said that you have to own the onus of telling us and prove it to us who you are. We know who we are because we've been around for thousands of years. We know who we are. Who are you? Where did you come from? You prove who we are. Know who we are.
Anyone? Any comments so far? Questions? Anybody?
Y'all were on fire last week.
So far, so good.
Okay.
They must have worked y'all real bad during this week. You know, they said the weekend. I was talking to someone about this. They call it weekend for a reason. At the end of the workday, you're going to be too tired, too weak to do anything for yourself. Those words, those English words, you all.
Man.
No, we're just listening. We're listening. When it's time to interrupt or just to say something, when we're given a chance, then we'll talk.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, well, go ahead.
I was going to say, the spiritual seduction, is it was a powerful tool that they used on us. And this is why today a lot of us act like them. A lot of us think like them. They put us in their schools to teach us their methods. what they want us to understand, what they want us to know. And even when they teach us about our history, that I have a problem with. Hey, no white person can teach me about my history more than another brother, another melanated person that knows our history. We know our history better than any white person.
But they don't teach us our whole history. They don't teach us the truth.
No.
They've only taught us, well, we were enslaved, 1619. You came from Africa, and they'll jump to what's it? Eli Whitney and Cotton Gin and Harriet Tubman, W.E.B. Du Bois. Right?
Yes.
They might accidentally mention Marcus Garvey. Let me see. I think there's another one that they mentioned too. But
and then they like to let us know, oh, but you know, Africans were selling Africans. So
yeah,
exactly.
We were uncivilized, running around, swinging from trees. You know, we couldn't read, we couldn't write. No, we didn't read and write the English language because we didn't speak English. We had our own language. We had our own writing, our own God.
Yes.
Not this evil.
And our own universities, libraries, schools.
Yes. Of which they learned from and then claimed as theirs, that they were the ones that came up with the ideas and the studies and stuff like that. They learned it from us.
Yeah.
Never gave us credit for anything.
No. And a lot of these inventions here in Babylon are from Bantu inventors, but they never got the credit.
Right. The majority of the inventions were from Bantu people.
Yes. Yes. And see, that is the thing that really aggravates me. It does. It angers me because we know you put us in any sport. We put our mind to that sport.
Not just sport, anything.
Okay. We're going to dominate.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. We're going
to.
Yes.
Writing.
Whatever we put our mind to. All right. And it's because of that creating spirit. Thank you.
Creative spirit.
Yeah. Yes. That is within us. They can give us something, put us in something. And again, we put our mind to it. We're going to develop.
Yeah.
And blow it up.
Yes. We can make something out of nothing.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
And Brenda, I know she's trying to say something here. Brenda will tell you when we had come out of the church and, we were just kind of basically searching, looking around, and we were beginning to wake up to who we were. We were attending this church, and it was a white pastor. And y'all heard this before. I told Brenda, I said, I can't sit here any longer. I can't come here any longer. I said, how can I sit and listen to this white man tell me about my history?
Yes. He doesn't know.
It's interesting, speaking of which, it says that salvation is unto, what they have in there, but we know what it really means. It's unto us. They have Jews, which is that word then come about into this around 1700s, they say it. So it is unto us, the muntu. And salvation means just basically freedom. So we see that since they have the time frame that they were given and they were in power, there was no freedom with what they have done around the globe. And that is the reason why you have these organizations, or this organization, BRICS, that rose up, because they're tired of being manipulated, used, and taken advantage of by the West, particularly the USA. So when we were in power, when our ancestors were in power, you didn't have that. They had the opportunity to come and learn amongst our ancestors, to live in the land, and then they decided to come in and take over and colonize. What they do, I told you all, they have shown and are showing the world who they are. And Maya Angelou said, when a person show you who they are,
believe them.
Yes. Why now people have to run and feel like they have to be validated by these individuals, feel like they have to have them as a spouse to feel like they're worthy or whatever.
It's that mental seduction.
It's the seduction.
That spiritual seduction.
Now
that's what it is. Did you want to share it?
Yeah, you can if you want. It doesn't matter. I was seduction here. So I want to just give an example of the spiritual seduction lies that have taken place amongst them, with the manipulation of our scrolls and things, which they have created in the form of organized religion here. So
you would have to log in.
Oh, okay. If I can, because I haven't logged in there in such a long time. Sometimes they will kick you out. You have to go back in and redo it and do a password. So let me see if I can get there.
Get her to share what she has.
And I'm just I'm just jumping around on my little notes that I made on some slides here that coming up.
But yeah, this spiritual seduction, what they've done to us, it's traumatizing. It really is. It's traumatizing. And we have to come out of it, and you're probably wondering, like, okay, I've been in this for so many years, and as of right now, this is all I know. So how do I come out of it? How do I withdraw from this? First of all, you have to accept the fact that you've been lied to. Yes. We know that the Bible tells us that the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. That's all what the enemy comes to do. And that's exactly what the enemy has done. Now, I want you to think, who is the enemy? You already know. Those who have taken your ancestors from off the continent of Africa and taken them into captivity and called them slaves. Those are our enemies. And I'll just, I'm going to tell it like it is. They are the seed, the Asili of Shetani, Satan. Satan is a liar. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, you're right. You're right.
Satan is a liar. And okay, meeting it. Use the one at the top. Okay. Satan, I'm sorry, you all. Satan, we know that I think it was Yesiah who said, He was a liar from the beginning. So by him being a liar from the beginning, his seed are liars. Bottom line. And who is his seed? Those who act like him. They are the liars. And they're good at it. Look at what they did with the Bible, and look at our people today in church who's using the Bible. So, all right. All right. There you go. I had to get her in.
Okay. So I was just making some notes this morning for myself, and we're talking about the spiritual seduction, of the melanated man. And one particular thing that came to mind was this doctrine of original sin. That's misspelled there, you all. So the doctrine of original sin stands, which states that you all that have been in Christianity and church know what that means. It's simply saying that man is born in sin. When they come into the world, they're born in sin. So original sin and Christian doctrine, the condition or state of sin in which each human being is born in sin. And I'm going to refute that real quick. It don't take much at all to refute their lies, you all. Christian teaching that all are born into sin. The Hebrew scripture says nothing, and this came from Britannica. The Hebrew scripture says nothing about the transmission of hereditary sin to the entire human race. The doctrine has long been the prerequisite for the Christian understanding of the meaning of Jesus' crucifixion and atonement. So all this goes in together, the original sin, because you need a savior to save you from the sin. So all this is connected, and it was a prerequisite for that, is what it's saying. And it was promulgated by Augustine in the West. So these are what Western concept, again, they have taken our scrolls and manipulated. I was talking to a friend of mine, and I said, the Bible is not the word of God, and it is not true. I said, it is mixed with lies. So how can it be truth? If something is truth, it does not have lie in it. So we cannot say that this is, as they teach in Christianity, this is the infallible written word of God. It is not the infallible written word of God when it has a lot of lies in there, manipulation. So it was Augustine that came up. He was one of these bishops back in fourth century, somewhere back in there, 4th century. He was a bishop. And he came up with this notion that man is born into sin. So when they say he's promulgated, you can see it is to make an idea. So that was his idea, or a belief. It's his belief that the Roman Catholicism brought into the Western Christianity, known to people by open declaration, to proclaim or make known. Now, to dispute this, doesn't the Bible say, the very Bible that they read, so since they said that man is born into sin, it says that man is created in the image and likeness of who?
God.
God.
Is made in the image of God.
Yeah.
But yet you say he's born here. When he's coming into sin. So it's saying his essence is what? Sinful. Mm-hmm. So that image of God, that God is
sinful.
You see how you can easily dispute this?
Mm-hmm.
Our family in Christianity need to wake up.
Yep.
Need to wake up. So man cannot be inherently born in sin if he's created in the image and likeness of a creator.
Right.
showed you, Augustine created these. So these concepts that they have, a lot of them in Christianity, these bishops and these so-called philosophical thinkers, a lot of them corrupted it, our scrolls, as I keep saying, and some things they even added in there, you all. So man is not inherently born sin. And it was a man during that time, Pergius, I think was his name. He was refuting this. And he said, no, this is not correct. He was saying, by nature, this is not who we are. We have a choice, he said, to do good. Or we have a choice to do evil. But we're not born evil. And they consider him to be a heretic.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I was going to kind of elaborate on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it said man is born into sin, you know. Now, okay. So if you want to look at this, man, the original man is a man who is melanated, because he is the original human being. No human being is born in sin. And listen to what I'm saying. No human being is born into sin. As Brenda just said, that man said it is a choice that a person makes to sin, to commit evil. That's man. That's human being. If you are not melanated, guess what? You are the one that's born into sin. Now, how can you say that?
Because you're not created in the
image. Exactly. You something different. You're an alien. I'm not biting my tongue. I'm sorry. And I'm not sorry. You're an alien. And I'm going to tell you right now, you're seed of the fallen.
Let's go a little deeper and look at this from a scientific perspective from what they say, okay?
Come on, y'all.
We dissect this down, shut it all down. So we know that the melanated man is the original man. We've been here for eons. They even say that in their literature. We, the melanated man, is the original man. They, and somebody said this. So when you look up, when you think about food that is genetically modified, GMO, genetically modified organism, right? So it means that they are not exactly like the original. Do y'all agree with me?
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
So genetically modified means changed. Something happened with the DNA. It is not like the original parent. That's all cancer is. It's a mutated cell that overgrows in the body. That's look it up. That's what cancer is. Cancerous cell. It's not like the parent cell in the body, and it just overgrows. So when they talk about the original man scientifically, us, they claim that they came from us, but they said that they are a mutation.
Yep.
That's what they say. A mutation. There was a mutation that took place in the original man gene. That's what they say in their scientific literature, right? Mm-hmm. Have y'all read that?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, a mutation of the original man, us, then they're not the original. So if you're not the original, then you're not like the creator, because you're not the original. You've changed. Mutation means to change, to be altered. So you're different. But they keep want to preach to the world, you are all the same. But when you start really looking at these definitions, it proves otherwise. So you are the GMO, the genetically modified organism. Something that's different than the original. That's us, you all. We're the original.
Exactly. Yep.
So that just substantiate what he's saying. That's all. That's all I was doing. Now you go ahead and finish.
They're from the fallen. That's where you come from. You know, the Bible, when you look at this, and we know that there's some lies, but the Bible said that God, the creator, Tata Nzambi, said, let us make man in our image after our likeness. That means look like us. Okay? Look like us. So with that said, picture this. Every being in Zulu, in heaven, has melanin. Come on, let that sink in. Because he created man to look like him. All right? Them. Yep. So we have melanin. So where did the other ones come from that don't have melanin? It is the melanated beings who looked upon the daughters of men who were melanated, saw how beautiful they were, and said, let's go down and take wives unto ourselves. They didn't consult with the Most High. They didn't talk to him because they knew he was going to tell them, no, that is not my plan. That is not what's supposed to take place. Your spirit, their flesh be with flesh. So they didn't consult him, but they came anyway. They made a pact and they came. This is in the book of Enoch. And they mated with them. And guess what? When they mated with them, they, the fallen, lost their melanin. They were cursed, y'all.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, think about this. There are some of them who say we're cursed because of Ham.
No.
And our curse is because we're black.
Yep, I heard that.
So if we're cursed, they're saying the Most High is cursed.
No.
They're saying every being in Zulu, in heaven, is cursed.
Well, when you understand that their God is not the same as our God, then you can see why they say that.
Yeah.
So when you look at you talked about melanin, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it says I was pulling this up. So because we know that our spirituality is science-based. We don't believe in no blind faith. That's not us.
No.
It's melanin is the dark matter. I remember I did that teaching on the dark matter.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And space, and showed you all how that was the Most High. Went to scripture and showed you in scripture to substantiate all of this. Mm-hmm. Melanin is the dark matter present in every being in the universe, existing on even a cellular level, because when you have the embryo at creation, matter, melanin is there. Mm-hmm. So it says here that melanin, the dark matter, melanin is the dark matter. And he's talking about, I'm just saying this to substantiate what he's saying, and just going from a scientific perspective to show you all here. Because everything that take up space is matter, right? Mm-hmm. We know, we learned this in science back in 6th, 5th grade. Matter take up space. So melanin is the dark matter, even though if you can't see it. Because they say, remember the teaching? They say that dark matter, they don't see it, but they know it's there because they know it's holding up the universe and it's expanding the universe. They said the universe is expanding. Y'all heard the saying, y'all remember back in the day, I'm telling off of my age, we used to do those jokes. And a lot of people used to do those mama jokes to cause fights. You don't talk about nobody's mama. They say your mama's so black you can't, you know, all kinds of jokes, but they talked about the darkness you can't see. So black you can't see her. When she smiles, you can't see her. And I'm just saying this to show that Tata Nzambi is so dark that you can't see is presence, or the presence of Tata Nzambi. You can't see the presence, but you can feel it. You know it's there. That's what they're talking about. They know it's there. The scientists know it's there. So they trying to figure out how to look at it. Brother Energy was saying that they're the type of people, they have to go in and dissect everything. Why? Because they don't know, and they trying to figure out. We know when our DNA awakens as it is, you will begin to have the understanding. You will remember in the walls of Kemet, it says, man, know thyself. So we're remembering and knowing who we are, and things are coming to us, and we're having more understanding. So melanin is the dark matter presence in every being in the universe, existing on even a cellular level. Melanin is, and the people that have the most melanin, of course, is us, dark-skinned people, because melanin is dark. So that substantiates what you said. So now those that mutated, now science tell you that they have minute presence of melanin, hence the lighter skin. Yeah, because they are mutation from the original. Yep. Okay. That's all. But did you want to say anything else on that?
I'm good.
Okay.
Anyone have comments?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
No, I was just thinking how so many of our people, even to this day, want to go out and get rid of their melanin, bleach it out. It's terrible.
That's the curse. The curse is the remember in the Bible, it says that they were cursed when they were turned white, and they called it leprosy.
Yep.
And they had to be put out of the camp. So the darkness is actually that's an increase.
Yes.
That's an increase, because that's the reason why they're trying to put these chemicals out in the sky to block the sun. Those that don't have a heavy production of melanin is because the sun don't like them. I'm gonna put it like that. The sun don't like them.
Nope.
The sun causes them to have what we know as squamous cell carcinoma. Skin cancer is what it's called. It's squamous cell carcinoma. Well, that's one of the worst kinds. Different types of skin cancers, and it's different type of cancer. Squamous cell is the worst type. So but most of the time it's the squamous cell that they end up having a lot of times of the skin cancer, and it's from the sun, the radiation. Yet our melanin is a protector of those radiation. Remember again, I did that teaching on the dark matter. I was doing that teaching and was talking about the highest radiation was the gamma rays, and it's stated in the literature that melanin protects against those gamma rays. So your melanin protects you from the sun, from the damage, the harmful damage of the sun. So it doesn't damage us. It actually energizes, help us produce more melanin and other hormones in our body. We actually need to get out in the sun. As a matter of fact, my primary care physician told me to get out in the sun at least 15 minutes a day. And she's Indian. She said we need the sun. Okay? We don't have to put on, they're saying we have to now, but that's a lie. They're saying we don't have to put on sunblock, suntan lotion is what they call it. So when you look at the fact, think about this, you all. What's the highest place on earth? It's near the equator. What is that?
Africa.
So just walked around slapping on sunblock?
No.
Sunscreen? All these years of living over there in the hot sun?
No.
That's our natural environment, y'all. That's why we were called people of the sun. But now you have scientists and our own people say, oh, I need to put on some suntan lotion. They did that experiment. I know most of all you all seen that experiment where they put suntan on some European people and put them under these x-rays, and they look black. It made them black because, and now they the scientists are looking at melanin as a form of a suntan lotion for them to put on melanin. Look at you use melanin. They using melanin for everything. So how is melanin being black or cursed when they looking at melanin for everything for the computers to put in the an abundance of it is cursed. It's the opposite, you all. They've told us that lie for the so that's why you have people trying to lighten their skin, because remember that it's a psychological warfare. But they gave them the image of their God, Jesus Christ, pale skin, blue eyes, long stringy hair as God. You're worshiping the white man. It was psychological warfare. So you want to be like God. So you're going to do what you need to do to look like God that they presented to you. So it's psychological programming. So our people minds have to be reprogrammed to let them know that you're the one that are the gods.
You know, you said something that was really interesting, and you came from scripture. And I had to laugh, and I've been sitting over here saying, how am I going to word this? You were talking about leprosy.
Oh, okay.
And you said that when people, that was in the camp, and they began to show signs of leprosy or had leprosy, they put them out the camp. And, a lot of times they put them out till they got clean. And if they didn't get clean, they just never come back into the camp. And what came across me, and I laughed, I said, we look at some of the countries in Africa, Burkina Faso, Mali, and who they kicked out. They put them out the camp. My brothers and sisters on the continent, take note. They put them out the camp. They are the ones that's cursed. Look at what they were doing to those countries. They brought them down. Okay? So I'm saying to you, you need to kick them out.
Yes.
I'm just
Africa.
I'm being frank with you. You need to put them out. This is not about being racist. It's not about being prejudiced. Okay? Trump is a separatist. He is. A lot of people say he's racist. He may be, but I do know he's a separatist. He believes in being with his own kind.
And so do I.
And so do I.
Okay.
It's not that
so do I.
Okay.
Rather be with my kind.
Now.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel more comfortable. Let me put it like that.
And I believe in being with my people when I go home.
Yes.
Okay. That's me. So again, my brothers and sisters, they're bringing your country down. Put them out. Follow suit and connect with your brothers and sisters on the continent, with the other countries. Connect and become one. Get rid of the visas. Get rid of them. Your family.
They gave. This
all of that. Yeah. It causes separation.
Division. A house divided cannot stand.
Get rid of it. We're the same people.
That's what we need to learn from. If we want to take away anything from them, take away from the fact that they united to take over our land. They were fighting each other in Europe. They weren't living harmoniously together as one people. They were fighting, killing one another. Something that they
Yes.
do today.
That's who they are.
And they heard about the tales of the riches of the land of Africa, you all. So they always use that too as a tool. Divide and conquer. So they came in with the demarcations of Africa and cut off. This is Nigeria. This is Cameroon. This is Burkina Faso. This is Congo. This is on and on and on. It was they. And then they took it for themselves.
And then they had our people that were always getting along as one people. They had us starting to fight against each other.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they did.
Yes. And that's what we have to stop.
Division. And we have to be healed from that, because that's still happening now, you all. And we have to be healed from that and stop fighting each other and look at the fact that this was used to allow them to come and dominate over us.
Mm-hmm.
That's operating up on the wisdom, my eye.
Exactly.
To fight those that look like you, those that used to be harmoniously one and one. I'm not saying there weren't any issues in Africa, don't get me wrong, but not to the point of what they had going on in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
You see? And then they had respect, because you had Kemet being taken over by different melanated ethnicities at different times.
Mm-hmm.
What happened when the non-melanated man came around? And I wanted to say real quick too, jump back to when I was talking about the melanin, and then we'll jump back to this. Let me see how I can get back to your phone. It says the purest, because we were talking about how they said black is evil, but we know that one time black was not considered evil. The purest form of melanin. What's the purest form of melanin, you all think? It says black, because it absorbs all the colors. All the colors. Black. That's the purest form. So black is pure.
Yeah.
It's not cursed.
No, it's not.
That's a quote unquote, the terminology from an English perspective. That's a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is. And according to their Bible, when who was it? Miriam was cursed with leprosy, and her skin turned
white.
Yeah. So having white skin is a curse.
Yep,
and
that's the
curse. And it also proves that the people that were in the desert were melanated people. They weren't, Caucasian people, as to what some other people say that they were. They were there and they're the Jews,
Mm-hmm.
But
when you get out of
they weren't.
Yeah.
Yes.
The sun, melanated beings like us, what happens when we get out in the sun in the summertime? What happened to us, you all?
We get darker.
You get dark. And then in the wintertime, you kind of lighten up. So the more you be out in the sun, the darker you get. That's why the original people, we know the original people over there to the hottest place on earth near the equator were melanated people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was needed to be, because it was a protection.
Yes.
So no, they weren't the indigenous people. So I want us to go back real quick to this example here. I was giving you all the illusion or the spiritual seduction of these people. It says in the Gospels also, there are no more than allusion to the notion of the fall of man. The universal scene, the main scripture affirmation of the doctrine is found in the writings of Paul and Romans. Paul established a parallelism between Adam, Adama, and Christ, stating that whereas sin and death entered the world through Adam, grace and eternal life have come in great abundance through Christ. And you have to understand what Christ really is. They perverted that. It's not what they have presented. That's another teaching for a different story, but that's for a different time. But that too is a spiritual seduction that they have taught people, that this Jesus Christ is a person that they have given. I mean, they have come up with
some doozies.
The original sin is an Augustine Christian doctrine. Y'all hear that? The
Yeah.
original sin is an Augustine Christian doctrine. That has nothing to do with us. That was made up by some man, you all, that all man is sinful and you need Jesus to save you. It's a lie. It's a lie, okay, you all? My brothers and sisters that may be listening to this is still in Christianity. It's a lie, okay? It's a lie.
Hang in there with us.
You're not born into sin and you don't need a Jesus Christ to save you from that sin because it was made up.
Hang in there with us.
Okay?
Okay. Hear us out. Listen.
This means that they are born with a built-in urge to do bad things. So like I say, if we made in his image, then it's saying that his image was like that. So that disputes that. I already said that. It says the concept of original sin was explained in depth by St. Augustine and formalized as part of Roman Catholic doctrine by the councils of Trent in the 16th century. So that concept that they teach in Christianity, that we're born in sin and we need to be saved, and that's why we need Jesus Christ, is all a concocted story by the Romans. Okay? Yep.
To make you believe that you need them.
This is telling you about Pelagius that was considered a heretic, because anybody that disagreed with the Romans, and we know that the Roman Catholicism, all of the churches that we have in the Western world came from Roman Catholicism when they had the Protestant Reformation. So they protested against the Catholic Church, and hence you got all these religions. And when you look up who created all these Western religions, they're European men. Yep. So we have to look at that. All of them. Every one of them that we're in. So we're saying that Pelagius, I don't have to really get into that. It was talking about when he was born and he died. They said in Palestine he was born, and I think they said Britain, and died in Palestine because the Romans were going into our land. We know that our land was colonized by the Grecians, these different Europeans, and then the Romans took over, and other Greeks, and so then they came over and took over our land. That is why you have that Greek-Roman presence in the New Testament, because that was the time that they came and took over our land. And people have to understand that. So, and this is what I was talking about here. It says, so the Most High created man in his image. So if we're creating his image is not dark, tainted, evil. That's not his image. In the image. Now, I would say that we know that there is duality. There's good and evil, hot and cold, but there has to be a balance for order. So that goes back to Ma'at. That's why that scale is present, because there has to be balance. There is no balance in the world. Ma'at is all out of order. She's not even present in the ones that are governing the world right now. It's been far removed. And that is why Nzambi was talking about saying these principles of Ma'at. I will not and I have not. Our ancestors did this, he said. They could not do this. That's why they had to take these things out, because they came in and what? After our ancestors allowed them to come in and learn at their feet, the children came in and took over our land, killed so many of our people. Josephus said it was a great slaughter of our people, and they ran deeper into Africa. He said this. Their own historian said this. So I'm just repeating what they have in their books. He killed a lot of people. They killed them. And then you had Napoleon came in, right? And they destroyed our libraries that we had. They didn't burn the literature, you all. They took the literature, and it was Socrates, I think it was, or maybe it was another one, but one of those philosophical thinkers during that time of Napoleon took those books and began writing using our scrolls and created all the stuff that they have in the West here today. not just religion, but their science, everything, because everything came from us, science, music, writing, everything came from us. It has to be because we're the original man. So all those things are attributed to us that they learned from us. So he took them and he wrote them. And they don't tell the people that when they presented these writings that they supposedly wrote, they changed it up and plagiarized our writings, and they took it back to their land when they went back, trying to teach their people what they have been taught, the little bit that they had been taught. They shunned them, you all. A lot of them were killed. These philosophers, they don't tell the world this. A lot of those philosophical thinkers were killed, or they were put on islands, and they stayed on those islands and died because they said, what you teaching is foreign. It's the truth. So how can this stuff was there? Pythagoras created this, and Socrates came up with this philosophy. When these people were killed or either put on islands by their own government because they said what you're teaching is not ours, it's foreign. Look it up.
Now, some of the books they did burn. There were some that they did burn, but they did take some also.
You know?
You wanted to say something?
I don't think they burned none of them. I think that 52-mile long vault in Roman that they don't let no. Yes.
You may be right.
That's what I think. Mm-hmm. And I was just thinking about this too now, how you were saying how the non-melanated, they act and think differently than we do. Well, a good example of that is this former president of Gabon that married a non-melanated, and now she's being brought up on charges for money laundering. They just do anything.
That's a different scenario. And they just want to bring them down. They was puppets, y'all, for the French. That's all it was. They was puppets. So if they was money laundering, so was the French government too. Because they was working for them. Because they're puppets, and that's what's happening. These puppets are being overthrown, but and Gabon and all the rest of Africa need to follow suit and get them out of there, because Africa will never return, and the African people will never return to our greatness as long as we allow these people to be in our land and to govern over us, over our land, because truth be told, we're all connected. So what happens in Africa impacts us, even though we're in the diaspora. What happens over here in America to us, it impacts all of us around the globe. Look at how the melanated man is hated by all people. Because of what has been promulgated by Indo-European people. So you have other ethnicities looking at us in the fashion that have been created by Indo-Europeans.
Put them out the camp.
So this is what I was telling you here, where it says the European word meaning, and this is on etymology. Just go to etymologyonline.com and put in God, and it's going to give you a whole bunch of information. Then down, you have to keep reading down below, going towards almost the middle, you will see it says originally a neuter noun in Germanic, talking about the word God. The gender shifted to masculine. Him, he. After what? Christianity came on the scene.
Wow.
Changed form to male.
They changed. The essence of who he is, or who the creator is. I'm trying to stop saying he, because they did that. They created this. So we're talking about the spiritual seduction. You see how they have, so the world think, oh, he.
Yep. So when you look at Genesis and it says, God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness. And as you read that, you will say, and he created he, them, he, right? And say he created male and female. Okay. Now, if he, and all these he's created male and female, where the female come from? Where that concept come from? Okay. Where that concept of female come from? Now, Brenda read earlier about Ma'at, and it said that Ma'at was there in the beginning before the earth was formed. And he used Ma'at, wisdom. Look, I'm gonna put it like this. When I get ready to do something or want to do something or have a decision to do something, I go and talk to wisdom. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I talk to wisdom.
Symbolism, y'all, okay? Don't.
Come on, my elder.
Hey, my brother. So when I go to wisdom and I talk to her, guess what? She gives me wisdom and tell me you shouldn't do it this way. You should go about it this way. Sometimes I challenge her. Okay? But I end up thinking about what she said, and I look at it through her eyes from her perspective, and I say, she right.
Now he don't tell me that, but he'll just come and tell me such and such and such and such, and I'm like, didn't I listen to me yet?
You make me laugh, Mama Brenda, because that sounds like my wife. She'll say, I hate to be, and I told you so. But didn't I tell you? So
So, I mean, let's just put this thing together and let's put some stuff to rest. Tata Nzambi, he spoke to the feminine.
The power spoke. Stop saying he. Because when you look at the word God anyway, in their Hebrew literature, it says El. When you look at El, it's power.
Now,
power.
okay.
Power don't have no masculine.
Okay.
Male or female energy.
Okay.
Energy.
Okay, but let me
jump into it, y'all.
But let me explain why I said that, because we got some Christians, that's listening. And I'm explaining it in a way that they can understand. The Bible keeps talking about he, calling God he. So when God created, there was the feminine. She was present.
The feminine energy is there during creation.
Okay, so I'm just trying to get you to see you cannot create. You being a female, you cannot get with another female and produce life. There has to be a male sperm in order to produce a baby.
Right.
It has to.
Creation, you had the masculine and the feminine energy there.
Yes.
Right? Because wisdom was there. Ma'at was there.
Mm-hmm.
Before the creation. Now check this out. It says the earth was void. Without what?
Yes.
Without what?
Without form.
No. Right?
Yes.
Everyone having a hard time hearing?
Who came and brought order?
She did.
Wisdom, Ma'at. Because Ma'at, the feminine principle, is order.
Remember, she said, I was there before the earth was formed.
Everybody's been meditating. I was going to sing a hymnal.
And go silverback.
No, yeah, it said without form.
Yes. But we're hearing your feedback.
Oh, sorry about that. Sorry about that, family.
Oh, it's okay, my brother. It's all right. So the church and what they have did with the Bible was they gave us all male.
Masculine.
Okay.
That's
the masculine. Yes. And because of that, now, and I'm gonna say it, I told y'all, see, I ain't been biting my tongue. This is why you have a lot of feminine acting men in the church. They're in the choir. They playing the music.
Go ahead.
They're even preaching.
Yeah, about to say they're preaching. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
They usher you in to sit down. Okay. They serve communion. Hello. They praying on, or laying hands on you praying.
Yeah. Okay. Laying hands on your children.
Yes. Yes. So this is why you see that spirit so strong in the church.
Yeah.
Yes.
Spiritual seduction. This is what we're talking about. So they get all these people believing this mess and got us messed up because we don't know who we are, where we come from. We don't know. We say that we're indigenous to this land, not realizing our ancestors, even though some of them were not captives when they came over from Africa. They came from Africa.
We dominated the entire globe. Why? Because we're the original people. So come on, we need to think. So yes, they gonna find.
Let's put it together.
Like y'all remember our sister that used to do teaching with us? She sent me something about the Masaba people, and I started researching about the Masaba people. The Masaba people are they in some of the literature that I was finding in my research, it says, well, the true Negroes, and that they went and they populated Japan. So those black-headed people you saw over we're all over. Because we're the original man. So yes, there were some people over here. I told you about when I got the researching about Tuscaloosa, and the original word that they had sounded Bantu to me. I'm like, wait a minute. And then when I looked at it, they had the meaning. It says black warrior. I'm like, wait a minute. And they was talking about black people. I'm like, wait a minute. wait. So yes, our people, that was Ivan Van Serafina wrote, they were here before Columbus. Before Columbus, they said, they taught us at school in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. That's how they had us to help remember that, right? But they said too, also in literature, that 2,000 years before he was at 2,000, that our ancestors was coming over here trading.
He didn't discover nothing.
They didn't discover nothing. We know this, but you know, it's in their warped narcissistic thinking, because they're just narcissistic. They just got to, because they don't have, you know. That's why I said they always their focus is on money. I was telling Nzambi, I said, you know, they gave Social Security, people they get Social Security, they gave them a raise, you all. They said it was the biggest raise that they have ever given. Don't you know, I just read where they said they finna go up on the Medicare premium. I said they gave it to them, now they taking it back.
Taking it back.
They always do. Every time they get a raise, they take it back.
Yes, yes.
With
So
that health care.
Yes.
You know, when I look at the people in the South Pacific, like the Polynesians, I mean, so many of them you could tell they got African in their blood.
Absolutely.
And I got something on these Polynesian people too that I may get into. Let me see if I can move on real quick here. We talk about the psychological programming, or the spiritual seduction.
Yes, spiritual seduction.
So,
yes.
Does God have a gender? This is from a Catholic site, the USCatholic.org. Them folks. It says it's something. I told you they got our scrolls in the 52-mile vault. They got our scrolls. They got a lot of our artifacts over there, not just in their museum. sitting up in there making money off of it, talking about, somebody said, they said earlier, they said we was swinging off the trees.
Yeah.
But your museum don't show that. Your museum showed that these were some very educated people, because the artifacts,
weren't they?
Yeah, the artifacts that they had were intricately made. That's why they so fast. I was thinking real quick, you all off topic. Nobody or no other place so much so than they do the melanated man in our home, Africa. To that extent, you all. So what's fixated on us in our home? Just want to go and dig up and excavate and DNA. It's like just fixated and fascinated by the melanated man in our land.
And it's so funny because the deeper they dig, the blacker they get, the blacker they find.
Exactly.
I just had to throw that in there, y'all.
And you know, I know the blacker it gets, the madder they get.
Like that man when they did that DNA on that skeletal remain, that new one that they found, and they said that it was African, of African origin, and y'all saw that man face, that European scientist. He was like, "That just looked like what?" So to their lies have become truth to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And so when the truth really come forth, now they confused, like, what?
Right.
No.
If they're looking for their people, they just need to go to the caves and see if they can dig something up in the caves.
Yeah.
That's where their people.
Yeah. So I had Mandela ask me years ago, do you really believe the Egyptian pharaohs were black? I said,
That's what the
absolutely.
DNA said.
Absolutely.
DNA said,
Yeah,
That's what science.
they said that King Tut DNA was E1B1A, which is mostly all of us over here in sub-Saharan Africa. So you tell me what you think about it then.
And our culture is so rich; they have nothing.
No,
they don't even have a culture.
Well, they do. I mean, you know, steal, kill, and destroy.
Well, well, if you want to be proud of that, then.
I'm gonna read this real quick, and then I want to jump on a comment that was made. It said, "This is a Catholic site. Gender is something that belongs to humans. God is beyond gender. Because we believe in a person of God and people are gendered, some of us can't help but envision God as having a gender. Through our Christian tradition, believers have learned heavily toward depicting God as what? Male. And it says through our Christian what?
Tradition.
And I showed you all earlier what the online etymology dictionary said. That before Christianity, it was gender neuter. And that they introduced the creator as male when Christianity came on the scene. Here again, and it says, let it be established by our 2 or 3 witnesses. This is the second witness. It says that through our Christian tradition, believers have learned heavily toward depicting God as a male. They got scriptures here, and it says that among the most dominant images, however, while there is biblical support for these images, there are also many biblical texts that envision God as what? Male. For example, Moses warns the Israelite not to forget the God who gave you birth. Deuteronomy 32:18, when Israel was being rebirthed after the Babylonian exile, the prophet Isaiah speaks of God as being like a woman in labor, bringing the Israelites to new life. Isaiah 42:14. Further, Isaiah speaks of God's tenderness toward Israel like that of a mother consoling her child. Isaiah 49:15, 66 and 13. Both Isaiah and the psalmist portray God as a midwife, helping the renewed Israel come forth from the womb. Isaiah 66:9, Psalms 22:10 and 11. The midwives used to be only females, no males. It was the male dominant society, the Europeans, that started introducing these males as these OBGYN gynecologists to bring the child. It was always a female, always female. Even over here in America, our ancestors, when they did it, they were born. My mom was born of a midwife. They were female. So all the languages we use to speak of God is figurative and can be metaphorically and analogical or symbolic. Now I want to go to a comment here that was made. It says the feminine energy is the creative energy. Nzambi was talking with somebody, and I'm going to let him tell that story. But it goes along with, it is the feminine energy, which is the creative energy. Why y'all think the church is full of females? Y'all quiet.
Why do you think the genetically modified organisms want our females?
Mm-hmm. And didn't our high priestesses, the high priests were female?
They were female. They was all females. Yes. They, as a matter of fact,
prophets too.
The prophetess. Yeah, they were females, and they were known as the black doves of Africa. This book I got on, that is where they got the dove, but they changed it to white dove. They was known as the black doves because they were from Africa. And so that's where they got that dove of the Holy Spirit, because when you look up the go into research of the definition of the Holy Spirit, it's going to tell you it is feminine.
Well, I was in conversation, and I was on the phone. I was speaking with two people and two men. And oh, that was close. I'm sorry. So I was speaking with two men, and I said to them, I said, I heard someone, they shared with me that the woman is closer to God than you are. And I was kind of confused, like, huh? What you mean she's closer to God than I am? I think I'm doing all right. That's what was going through my mind. And they said because she's a creator, just like the Most High is. He creates, she creates. And I said, oh, okay. I understand then, because she brings forth from the womb. She gives life. She brings forth life. So I'm sharing this with them. And so one of the men said to me, he said, well, he said, yeah, he said, but the man is also the creator too, because he's made in the image of God and after his likeness. And it is the seed that he has that he puts into the woman that she gives birth. So he too is a creator. And I said, he helps, I said, but he doesn't bring forth life. I said, to explain it a little further, I said, let me go to the physical. I said, when someone takes a seed and put the seed in the ground, I said that seed must die first. But because of the nutrients and minerals that is in the ground, I said the ground gives life and brings life forth into that seed. I said, now, let me ask this question. I said, what do we call Africa? And so they said, Mama Africa. I said, yeah. I said, we also say the motherland. And they said, yes. I said, so when God, it says in the Bible, created man from the dust of the earth. I said, it was from the earth, Mama Africa, the land. I said, so she brought forth life. Okay. I said, so when that seed goes into the mother, into the earth, I said, she nurtures and put nutrients and minerals into that seed that produces life. When I said that, they both went, oh my goodness, that is good. He said, that's good. And the other man said, I like that. I like that. I said, it is the woman that brings forth life. She creates. She brings it forth. And I think it was Brenda or someone else that I was talking to. I think Brenda, though, said it is the woman that decide. This is deep. If life comes forth or not. If it lives or not.
Wow. That is deep.
Our body is the womb, right?
Mm-hmm.
And where the ancestors dwell, right? Okay, which is the water.
Ah, come on now. Come on.
When coming into this physical realm. So when life comes forth through the female, it's first in the what? The water, the
water.
kalunga, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Breaks, and then it comes to the what? The physical realm. It is she. It is she.
Oh.
So below, within, so without. It is she.
Yes.
It is she.
But you know, what's interesting is how these entities wanted to push the male over the female.
These Indo-Europeans,
it's them.
Yes. That's where.
That's that spiritual seduction. Come on.
You're breaking up, Mama Brenda. We can't hear you.
As a matter of fact, in those books, my voice get high. You know how we do.
I know.
Y'all know how we do melanated. It ain't just so they say in the South. There's over in Africa. They get to go on. The voice get high on females.
Yeah.
When we get excited, but I forgot what was I saying, Tamara. I got excited there. That's why my voice escalated. I got excited talking. Oh, in the book, I was saying in that book that I had that talked about the females being a prophet. Actually, it was those prophetess that prophesied a lot to the Romans.
Oh, wow.
Yes, in that book, it talks about how they would go in caves and they would go under a trance and get these revelations. So when you look in the Christian church and the Pentecostal church, I was telling Nzambi this morning. I said, something just came to me. I was getting ready and it was just dropped in my spirit, like within me. They say that God dwells in them, the spirit is in them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then they said that when the spirit comes, the spirit drops so high and they get the prophesying and they said, oh, the spirit of God came, the spirit dwelt. But you say he's inside of you, so who came and prophesied?
Mm.
Who was it that came prophesied? This was dropped in my spirit, and I got the answer. I know what it was, and it was shake them up because God is already inside of us. The spirit, the presence, the essence of the creator is in us. So when we go up under these trans-like states and Christianity, like our ancestors do in Africa, when they get the, y'all know, and we get the dancing in that Pentecostal church and shouting, and then folks get the prophesying and running around, and you get all these prophetic about different people.
Yeah.
Who is coming through? Lizzie, who is coming through? Tell them. Lizzie, she got this laughing. Lizzie know where I'm going. This is just dropped in me. I went, they need to think
our Bakulus.
Thank you. Thank you. It is the ancestors that are coming forth. I'll never remember the time that I shared this with you all, because you all know that I came out of a Pentecostal church one Friday. We was at service, and as they said, the spirit.
Don't get high. Don't get high.
I'm not. What they consider a prophetic gift when I was in church. I was one that had a prophetic gift. I would prophesy. So I went around just different ones. The church with the spirit was high. And so you come down to who you are. They told me after church, they said, brother, you changed. Your voice changed and everything. You were speaking like you was from over there, one of them islands, from the Caribbean islands. You were speaking like one of them. Where did that voice come from, y'all? Like somebody from Caribbean. Caribbean. What came through me? Who came through me? Speaking with a different dialect.
You were possessed. You were possessed, Mama Brenda. You were possessed.
By who? By who, Silverback? What possessed me? Who possessed me?
Ancestors.
Q.
Yes.
Q. And our brothers and sisters need to wake up. This was dropped in me this morning. I went, hey. Who is talking? I heard the voice saying, who is talking through them, Brenda? I went, oh. And I ran downstairs and I said, this just dropped in my spirit. I was getting ready. Yes, they said my voice, my demeanor, everything changed about me, they said.
Yeah. That was nothing. It was no Catholic church. It was not none of that. Yes, you are right that the majority of the time when we in a ceremony, the women get possessed. But as soon as they start hearing the drums, so yes, majority of the time, women are the ones who are possessed, and they're the ones who bring forth the message.
And most of the time in the Pentecostal church, it was the woman. Yep. And when we was in church, we didn't have a drummer at first, and somebody said that we can make something out of nothing. So we did our feet in our hand. We made music with our feet in our hand, and then when they had a tambourine.
Yeah.
Yes.
What was that?
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That is deep.
That is.
Whoa. So I don't know, but they said
is.
I don't know what it changed to, but they said my whole demeanor changed.
Yes.
It changed. And so when you go up under that, like I was telling them, a lot of times you don't remember the things that you say because it's not you. I've shared with you, I've had my mother call, you remember you prophesied. No. Yeah, you said. I don't remember. Yeah, I remember you said. You said, and it happened. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't remember. A lot of times I don't remember. Even times when I'm getting downloads and writing stuff now about our culture, it comes to me about us and people, like that download I got. If I don't write it down, sometimes, a lot of times, I don't remember it, because I remember I got this download real quick. And I'm sorry, you all.
You have to wrap it up.
Yeah. I remember this was recently. I got this download, and I was getting downloads, and I'm like, I ain't gonna remember, because I wasn't nowhere to write it down. So I'm not gonna remember all of that. How am I gonna remember all of that? I'm speaking to him saying this. How am I gonna remember all that? I heard a voice say, Brenda, we're right here with you. All you have to do is channel us. That's exactly what I heard you all.
Wow. And that goes along with the question that I asked you, Yaya, about our bakulus the other day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And my response was right there on basically what she said.
Yep.
Now we get ready to wrap it up, so we're gonna have to continue this because it's good, because I got some more stuff that I was taking notes on. that is real good. But
Share.
When I was in the Christian church, I remember one time we was at, and I think I may have shared this with you all. I don't know. I may not have. We were, I think I did, at choir rehearsal. And you know, you had them drums playing, silverback. And I've been hearing things since I was in church, you all. This is nothing new. It's just that it has, I know who it is, and it's getting more. And I heard this voice tell me it was a lady sitting out in the audience. Well, no audience. She was sitting out there by herself because we was at practice. And I heard a voice say, "Go to that lady." And I'm wrestling back in my mind. I heard a voice, "Go to her." I'm like, "I don't know that lady." Don't think I'm crazy. It went back and forth. I kid y'all not. I said, "I don't know that lady. I'm not going to that lady. I don't know that lady." I said, "She don't think I'm crazy." Y'all know how the pulpit is made. You have to walk up some steps, go to the pulpit, and behind the pulpit was a choir stand, right?
Right.
So I'm in the choir stand. I used to sing in the choir. Somehow, something got control of me, closed my eyes. My eyes were closed.
There you go.
I got up. It walked me out down the step, eyes closed, and nobody stopped me. I just thought about that. Nobody stopped me. I walked down the steps, and then you had to go down some more steps to get down to go out where the pews were. My eyes closed the entire time that I'm walking, leaving the choir stand, right? The lady was sitting towards the back. I remember my hands were up like this, like something or somebody was leading me. When I went and my hands moved and they went down. When my hands went down, that's when they allowed my eyes to open. Guess where I was?
By that lady.
I was behind that lady. My hands went down on her. And when they went down on her, I just felt something when I said that. She put her head down and started crying. I didn't even say anything.
Wow.
I don't remember saying anything. Maybe I would speak because I don't know. I don't remember saying anything because I was like amazed, like, how did I just walk down here with my eyes closed to the lady that I heard saying, "Come to this lady." And I get here and they put my hands on her because I felt something move in my hands, you all. I kid you not. I wish I had those people here to witness this that was there in church. And she started crying. And they told me after service that I found out her husband was the drummer. And they said that she had been going through something.
Mm.
And after I finished, they said, "Brenda, you went into the middle of the aisle and you dropped down like a rag doll. You just dropped after you did that." And I just thought, because it's like something just took over me. It wasn't me walking down those. How did I walk down them steps with my eyes closed? If y'all would have saw the way it was configured, it's no way possible that I could have done that and walked directly to the lady where I heard a voice that "Go to her." You can't make this stuff up, and I didn't. They was there.
That's amazing to
You know,
me. It's
Good though.
Go ahead.
amazing. Oh, just amazing wonders of the people that we are. You would never hear Mundele tell that kind of story.
No.
It's never happened to them.
Woo! I just felt the spirit.
Y'all, he being facetious. That's why he's being facetious. It was in that church he told you we used to go to before he left out. It was a Mundele, and he would go.
You remember seeing them like those televangelists, the Moondellas, and they be jumping around.
Yeah.
But you know what? They don't even know how to dance like us. Do you know when we was at that church? You know how we dance? We dance just like over in Africa because this is guy from Africa. He did. I want to try to find that video, and he did a comparison to us over here in the church, particularly us in the Pentecostal church, and those on the continent of Africa, like Silverback said, the drums. He showed in the Pentecostal church, they playing the drums and the music. Then he showed in Africa, they're playing the drum, the bongos, and all, and then they get the dancing, and then they get on the trance and they start speaking prophetic utterance. And he said, we're the same people, it's the same thing. He said, even though they want to say it's the spirit, we say it's the ancestors, they say it's the Holy Spirit. He did a side by side. This was some years ago. I went,
wow.
But when we was in that church that we went to, where the Mundela was the preacher, it was majority of them. It was a mixture of other people, with some Chinese people, some Hispanic, and some even a few Africans that was there. I remember these Mundelis asking me something about dancing came up in the church, and they was just talking about it like it was a phenomenon. And this is something that I'm used to because we did it all the time in the church. And I'm like, oh, that's common. I'm from the Pentecostal. That's common. We do that. That's very common. I'm talking to them. They're like, oh, well, you can teach us how to do it. That's exactly what she said. You can teach us how to do that. You can bring it here and show us how to do it here.
Oh boy, have a
Did you all not? What was that, Tamara?
To have a class.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I remember.
You can bring it here. You can start it and you can show us and teach us. I'm like, I can't teach you that. It's just when the spirit comes, you get teach you that.
But the spirit won't come upon them. That's the thing.
So and certainly
they are.
Especially our Bakulu are not coming up on them.
Exactly.
No way.
Exactly. So the
only way strike them dead.
Yeah.
Right.
The only way they can learn to do anything, it will have to be physical for them.
Right.
Okay. And they're gonna get tired.
Yeah.
You know, and they'll never get the rhythm.
Oh no.
Never.
Have you seen the videos where they had the Mundeli in our attire and they just look like they're epileptic trying to
Yes. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
And you have our other brothers and sisters just staring at them.
Yeah.
Yep. But this conversation, it has been really good as well. And again, we're talking about the spiritual seduction, of the chosen Asili. And we have lost because of what we've been indoctrinated with. All right. And so the thing is this: a lot of us are sexually immoral. I think is the best word that I want to use, and we're like that because of those who have taken our ancestors into captivity. Again, we've taken on their nature. Okay. And so we do as they do. We act as they act. We speak like they speak. We conduct ourselves like they do, and that is what we have to break away from. We have to, because it's not who we are. We didn't look at our women as sex objects. Okay. Let me just be real. I've been real all this whole time. We look at our women and we begin to think what we could do to them. But with that process, we're saying how it will feel to us. We would love to do this. That's not who we are.
Yep.
We have taken on this barbaric mentality, this barbaric nature, and we become like them.
So in other words, sex was not a pleasure in our community and amongst
us. It wasn't. Now you may be like, huh?
It's just for creation.
Yep.
So
there you go.
You're right. The sexual immorality, the bestiality, all that stuff was not of us.
No.
Because I remember a while back, somebody told us when one of our females was getting married on the continent, that I forgot which group it was, ethnic group. But anyway, they would take a sheet on the day when they would get married to see if blood was there somehow to see if she was virgin, because that represents
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
so
Very true.
so yeah, that's what I heard, because we have to understand that sex is spiritual too.
Mhm.
It's very spiritual. And
Yes,
see,
it is.
that we've lost that, but now we're learning about it. So you can't sleep with every Tom, Dick, and Harry, because what happened is then you're taking on their spirits, and
Exactly.
those
And
spirits
those
are
that
to you.
mhm. And you're taking on the spirits who they slept with.
Right.
Okay.
Spirits attached to you, because if this one person you slept with 5 other people, so that's 6 spirits, and then they slept with. Ooh,
You got all these spirits.
jeez. So we focus on that purity.
Mhm.
But yes, we have lost that, and we have to
Yes.
get back to that. Yes, we have.
So, there's a lot, that we have taken on from them, and we have to drop it and return to our culture, to our spirituality, who we are, so there's
Wasn't that Janet that song The Pleasure Principle?
Mhm.
Yeah, Janet
Yep.
Jackson.
Yes.
So, and I was thinking about too, when you was talking about the lies, what came to me was lies, 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 lies. Y'all remember that song? We've been
Yeah.
a lot of lies, spiritual seduction, and it was needed because we're spiritual beings. So that was the way that they could get us.
Exactly.
Because when you talk about conquering and divide and conquer, it's talking about unity, and unity was part of our spiritual essence of who we are. Is part of who we are. That's where my aunt and Ubuntu come in, and they destroyed all of that. So when they destroy that, they destroy who you are, who we are as a people, and they have us fighting one another. So they see us all different. So, oh, I'm Haitian. Oh, I'm Jamaican. Oh, I'm Congolese. Oh, I'm Cameroonian.
No. See,
African American.
that's why I said we need to cut all that out.
Mhm.
We need to cut it out. I am not African American. I'm not. They put that label on us. And there are some of us who hold true to that label. They claim it, they embrace it. I don't.
And about every 10 to 20 years, they want to try to give us a new label.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, they sure do.
Yes.
They sure do.
I'm from Africa. I was born here in the United States, but this is not my home. I'm from Africa.
Right.
Yeah.
So
just because you haven't been living in a particular area. When the Mexican move over here, then you don't hear them saying that they're anything other than Mexican, and so forth and so on. Chinese, it doesn't change who they are just because they move from their origin, their place of origin. It doesn't change.
No.
So I know a lot of times our sisters and brothers on the continent may look at us different because we had to adapt to where we were taken. As far as we had to recreate who we are as a people. So a lot of things that we've lost, we lost our language, a lot of our spirituality, but some of it we kept. Like I told you all, when this guy started teaching about spirituality and things you can do, some of the stuff I started finishing his sentence, and I'm like, my grandmother did this stuff. So we didn't lose everything, but we have lost a lot, and so they look at us different. But no, we're the same. We just been transplanted from one place to another place because of some evil doing. But if my ancestors come from Africa, does that change me from being African because I've been over here for 400 plus years? Does that change? I'm no longer African?
No.
No.
Not at all.
We're to the melanated man. We need to understand this because it's going to take us coming together to rid us of the disease that have plagued us for so long.
Yes. So the way we get rid of that disease, that culture, that mentality, we have to make it up in our hearts, in our mind, that we're going to separate ourselves from this and embrace who we are and start walking in it. Now, you may say, well, I'm here and, I have to do as they do or abide by their laws and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay. You do have to abide by their laws to a certain extent, okay? But it doesn't stop you from embracing your culture. Search your culture out. Search out who you are. Walk in it. You are not them. You're not them. They're totally different. They're totally opposite of you. Don't act like them.
Yeah.
Okay? Be you. Be your brother and sister on the continent. That's who you are. That's where we come from. So embrace it. Walk in it. That's who you are.
Yes.
You're not them. So with that said, I want to thank everyone for your input, for being with us, and my wife and what she shared. My queen, that's who she is. She's my queen. Wife is their language. Okay, so that's where you can start too.
That's right. That is right.
This is my queen. Okay, and I'm thankful to have her as my queen, my wisdom. And so everyone, love you greatly, and y'all hang on. Y'all know how we do, community. And to the family on YouTube and Facebook, love you greatly. Think about what we said. Think about it. Let it sink in. Okay. We got to come out from them, come out from among them. That's in the Bible. And think about that. Come out from among them.
And be separate.
Yes.
Okay. And to my brothers and sisters on the continent, kick them out the camp.
Yes.
Put them out.
They gotta
Put them
go.
out. It's leprosy all over.
Right.
Leprosy all over. Look at their hair. Even their hair is leprosy.
Don't allow them to no longer take advantage, of our resources over there. Do not allow them to, what's happening. I think it's Burkina Faso. Increase. They was coming literally getting the mineral for little or nothing, and they was using it for energy and for whatever. We know this. So they need us. They need us. Yes, us, the melanated man, and they need our land.
Since they need us, make ourselves unavailable to them.
Yeah.
All right. Because we can do better with each other. All right. So love you greatly. Let's return to who we are. Y'all be increased. Base.
Base.